With little or no warning, we were suddenly tasked with finding 5p for a toll booth in the middle of nowhere. Scrambling around the car, we suddenly found a 5p coin buried in the footwell. What a rush! Was it worth it? Probably not. Was it an unexpected adventure? Absolutely. This is the River Thames, and as I head north towards Swinford in search of the elusive 5p road toll, well, you'll note there's no other road or ferry crossings in either direction for 4 miles, or at least you will do if I showed you a map of the area. So why exactly is that, and how exactly do you make any kind of profit by charging just 5p per car? I first experienced this toll over a decade or two ago when the main dual carriageway from Oxford to Southampton was closed. We were diverted off the carriageway and my sat-nav at the time gave me a nice country road alternative. It took me 2 hours to make that 10-mile diversion that day because those were the days when you had a sat-nav but it wasn't linked to traffic and everybody else did the same, and the towns were tail-backed for miles all around. Why? Because everybody had to go over that toll bridge and hand over their 5p. Okay, so the toll bridge is just up ahead. Now there has been a toll here, or a ferry crossing, a crossing of sorts, for years. In fact, as far back as 1299, when it was noted there was indeed a ferry crossing owned by the Bishop of Abingdon. Now, like many ferry crossings up and down the Thames, it didn't go without incident. In fact, a lot of incidents. I think the most noteworthy, 1636, when £800 of Treasury ship money was lost in the river, and the 4 men that were there to carry it and protect it, they also lost their lives by drowning. 1750s, things started to change. A wooden bridge was erected, although not of sturdy construction it seems, because it didn't last. For a decade at least we're back on the ferry. However, 1769 saw permanent and significant change, and here is where things get interesting. A real 5-star bridge. I stayed up for the entire journey across. 5p toll is significantly better than swimming. Once on the other side, it is possible to travel back over just for another 5p. Celebrated English judge Sir William Blackstone drew up the Act and masterminded it in 1767, and it would ensure that the bridge would last until today and onwards. You see, the Act that Sir William drew up was in an attempt to revive the fortunes of the 4th Earl of Abingdon. In fact, it was designed to do more than that, with a few very cunning caveats slipped in. Not only would the bridge have a monopoly for at least 2 miles in either direction, so no other bridges or ferry crossings could operate. Not only did the Act not compel them to replace the bridge or provide a ferry alternative should the bridge fall down, but the collections of the toll were completely tax-free. Now, the staggering thing is, all of that remains today. Now, the bridge itself cost £5,000 to erect. Now, they envisaged a profit of £500 per year. It gives you a decade or so to make your return. Good stuff. However, the good Earl himself wasn't quite the businessman that Sir William Blackstone was. Failure to take advantage of the toll fully, and instead building a failed motel, led him to bankruptcy. The kids took over and seemed to make a decent go of it for the next 200 years. This is an absolute must. The baffling and archaic nature of this unofficial Oxfordshire experience is only trumped by the sheer rudeness and abuse you'll receive by the attendants. Well, that's all good and we love a good story, but I kind of wanted more. I wanted to know how you can charge 5p per car, make any kind of profit after paying someone the minimum wage of £11.43 in this country, and upkeep the bridge. I mean, it needs some repairs now, I would say, so let's go take a look. In more modern times, the last 50 years or so, the bridge has changed hands on a number of occasions. More recently, 2009, the bridge and the cottage adjacent were purchased for £1.09 million by Robert Standing. According to the Swinford Toll website, the tolls are to be collected between the following times: Now that was 2021, and apparently this does vary quite considerably. Okay, so that is a 45-hour week, assuming one person can deal both ways. Minimum wage is £11.43 in the UK right now, so that is £514.35 per week, or £26,746.20 per year. So none of that really matters because it's the per hour that we are after. The £11.43 minimum wage per hour would mean that you would need 229 cars per hour just to break even on just the minimum wage, nothing else included. That's not to mention other business costs: accountancy, national insurance, pension contributions, business rates, stationery, corporation tax. Hang on a second. This place doesn't pay tax. I thought I had more than 2p in my wallet. Staff at the kiosk decided to be extremely rude about it, tapped on the roof of my car and told me to get with the programme. Okay, so today is a Friday. Should we count?
Let's.
Now, whilst we count, it's worth noting that a report from immediately prior to the purchase in 2009 suggested that the bridge earned £190,000 per year earned. Now, does that mean profit or turnover? Well, let's just assume turnover. So 45 hours per week, that's 2,300 hours per year, so that's just £81.20 per hour. If we divide that by 5 pence, we have 1,623 cars per hour. Well, that's 27 cars a minute. That's one car pretty much every 2 seconds. I can't help but think those figures don't quite add up. And yes, of course, they're the odd lorry here and there, but not that many. Okay, so let's summarise that. We sat there for 1 hour. It's around about midday on a Friday, so it's quite a busy time, I should imagine, for that bridge. So we counted. Well, before we say what we counted, let's tell you that there were 2 men sat there, so it's not 229 cars per hour needed to break even on a minimum wage. It's actually 458 cars per hour needed to break even on a minimum wage. Now, we counted 588 cars in that hour, so that gives us a gap, a nice positive gap of 130 cars, times that by our 5 pence, maybe a little bit more perhaps either way for bigger vehicles. I think it's 12p, but that gives us £6.50 profit per hour. Don't forget, you've still got to pay for other bits and pieces, maybe some kind of rates, certainly insurances. Not quite sure how that's profitable, how you maintain the bridge on that. I think I'm missing something. I'll be happy to admit I'm missing something. Let me know what that is in the comments below. And if you like quirky history like this and you want to know why Salisbury Cathedral is floating and has a dipstick to make sure it stays afloat, you need to watch this video just here.